The sound hits you before your mind can name it. Your shoulders hunch, your eyes squeeze shut, your whole body locks, frozen mid step. You might think this is fear. You might think it's cowardice. But the real answer is far stranger. What if your freeze is not a choice at all? It's an automatic reflex designed for a world without bullets. And it might be the very thing that makes you an easy target. Why would your own body sabotage you? That's the inversion. The response meant to protect you can get you killed. The freeze after a gunshot isn't weakness. It's an ancient circuit firing in your brainstem, a circuit that saved your ancestors from claws and teeth. But a bullet doesn't care about your flinch. So why does this ancient circuit still rule your muscles? Now travel back to the very first millisecond after the noise. The sound wave enters your ear. It hits your eardrum. It vibrates through the tiny bones. But this signal doesn't just go to your thinking brain. It takes a shortcut, a direct line to your brainstem. Why would your brain bypass conscious thought? A neuroscientist named Michael Davis spent decades mapping this pathway. What did he find? He found that the startle reflex begins in the nucleus reticularis pontus caudalis. In plain English, that's a cluster of cells at the base of your brain. It fires in less than 10 milliseconds. 10 milliseconds. This is the speed of instinct. Faster than thought. Faster than choice. Your conscious brain hasn't even registered the sound yet. But your body is already reacting. But why does it react this specific way? The reaction is called a flexor contraction. Your neck tightens. Your spine curls forward. Your arms pull in toward your chest. Your eyes close. Your mouth opens slightly. Your breathing halts. This is not random. It's a precise, ancient posture. It protects your throat. It shields your soft belly. It makes your body a compact, harder to penetrate target. For a predator, this might mean the difference between a killing bite and a glancing blow. But how does a noise trigger this whole body pose? A researcher named Bruce Siddle studied this response in the context of combat. He noted that the startle reflex is a survival mechanism. It evolved in a world where threats were close range, physical, and often came with a sudden sound. A predator breaking through the underbrush, a rival's club swinging from behind. Your ancestor who flinched faster stayed alive. Over millions of years, this reflex became hardwired. Why did it become so automatic? It's not a flaw. It's a success story written in your nervous system. Can you see this reflex in nature today? You can see the same reflex in any mammal. A deer freezes at a snapping twig. A rat flinches at a sudden noise. Your reflex is part of this ancient family. For eons, the freeze worked beautifully. It kept your ancestors alive through countless ambushes. But then humans invented something new. Something that made noise without needing to be close. What could that possibly be? Gunpowder. The first guns appeared in China around the year 1000. By the 1300s, they were spreading across Eurasia. Suddenly, a loud bang could mean a threat 100 yards away. A threat your ancient brainstem cannot see or smell. It only hears the sound. And it does what it was built to do. It makes you freeze. So what's the problem with that? The problem is obvious. A bullet travels faster than any claw. Freezing in place makes you a stationary target. If you're caught in a firefight, every second counts. The instinct to curl up violates a fundamental rule of surviving bullets. Move, run, get behind cover. The freeze can cost you your life. So how do trained people avoid this fate? The answer lies in the gap between the freeze and your next action. The reflex lasts only a fraction of a second, but your conscious brain can take over after that, if you've trained. What kind of training matters? In the 1990s, a psychologist named Bill Lewinsky founded the Force Science Institute. They analyzed real officer-involved shootings, and they found something remarkable. Even highly trained officers experienced the freeze. Their shoulders tensed, their vision narrowed. What determined who survived? Those who had undergone intensive stress training recovered faster. They moved. They acted. The freeze still happened. But it didn't have the final word. How does training achieve that? Training can do something counterintuitive. It can't erase the startle reflex. But it can build a second, faster response right behind it. Motor programs drilled so deeply, they become almost as automatic as the freeze itself. The brain can be rewired. Practice doesn't just teach you what to do. It changes the physical structure of your neural pathways. How is that possible? Enough repetition, and a new behavior overwrites the old. In a sense, you teach your brainstem a new language. The ancient part hears the bang and flinches. But then a newer part, forged in practice, says run. Move. Find cover. This is what elite soldiers and specialists learn. They don't stop the flinch. They shorten its shadow. But how much time does that save? Bruce Siddle called this reactionary gap training. It's the process of conditioning the brain to shorten the freeze time. The goal is to cut out the hesitation, to jump from the reflexive crouch directly into a pre-planned action. Every split second you shave off that freeze might save your life. But what about everyone else? But here's the near miss. For most people, that training never happens. You walk through your daily life with a brainstem primed for the Pleistocene savanna. What does that mean for you? When a gun goes off in a school, a mall, a street, your body obeys the ancient command. It freezes. It makes you a still target. And in that stillness, the bullet finds its mark. Why does the brain also shut down during the freeze? The freeze isn't just a physical lockup. It affects your mind. Research by a neuropsychiatrist named James Hopper has shown that during a traumatic event, the prefrontal cortex can go offline. Thinking brain dims. Your memory of the event becomes fragmented. You may not even hear the second gunshot. You're literally a different animal in that moment. But isn't there any benefit to freezing? This is the deep irony. The very reflex that kept your ancestors alive for millions of years has become a liability. The world changed faster than your brainstem could adapt. Your body doesn't know the difference between a tiger's roar and a pistol's crack. Both sound like imminent danger. Both trigger the same ancient pose of protection. So why hasn't evolution fixed this? But perhaps there's a hidden wisdom in the freeze, even now. Some researchers think the freeze is not just protection, but also a moment of hyper-assessment. In the animal kingdom, prey animals freeze to avoid detection and to decide the best escape route. Your freeze might be your brainstem buying a split second to figure out where the threat is. For a predator, that's smart. For a bullet, it's a miscalculation, because the threat is not where the sound is. The threat is the bullet itself, already in flight. So what can you do today? So next time you hear a sudden loud noise, a car backfire, a firework, a real gunshot, notice what happens to your body. Your shoulders rise. Your eyes clamp shut. Your jaw tenses. What is your body trying to tell you? You didn't choose any of it. That's your ancient brainstem, trying to keep you alive. In a world of teeth and claws, it was a genius system. In a world of bullets, it's a dangerous relic. But it's also not the end of your story. With enough training, you can learn to move through the freeze. You can hear the bang, feel the flinch, and still act. That small victory, that override, is what survival looks like in the modern world. Can you train your own startle response? The sound hits you before your mind can name it. And your body already answered in a language 100 million years old. Now you know what it's saying and what it might cost you. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel. A new story every week.